Hey, what is up, guys? How are you doing? And it's been a while since I've gone live on LinkedIn. So I wanted to talk to you about how you can make money from your LinkedIn connections every single month. This can apply to a lot of different businesses and industries. And, it's a great method that I use in my business of buying and flipping pallets of surplus goods, making finder's fees. One sec. And so the best way for me is reaching out to all of my connections. And there's a couple of problems that people encounter with LinkedIn in the fact that you make a lot of connections on LinkedIn, but it's really, really tough to stay in contact with all of your connections on LinkedIn, isn't it? Unless you are literally messaging one contact at a time in LinkedIn Messenger, or I think you can create like a group of people in LinkedIn Messenger, but that's no good because you're literally reaching out to a load of people at once on LinkedIn Messenger, and that's not very personal. Um, so the first thing is you need to understand that when you are making connections on LinkedIn, it's not for fun. It's there's a reason for it. And what I see with a lot of people who go on LinkedIn and they connect with this person, they connect with that person, um, they don't really stay in contact with that connection that they've made. And what's the point of that? Why make a connection on LinkedIn? You're making a connection, a business connection with someone on LinkedIn. And and then you just kind of forget about that connection, don't you? You don't really stay in contact with that connection. Um, Often you kind of almost forget about that connection and you look at all these connections that you made on LinkedIn, a few thousand over a period of time. We all make several thousand upwards contacts on LinkedIn. And if you are not keeping in contact with these connections throughout the year, think about it. You're leaving money on the table and potential deals you're missing out on. Um, so across all your connections, you've obviously got people who are come under maybe supplier umbrella or maybe a buyer umbrella. Now, a lot of people make connections on LinkedIn with people that they want to try and make money from. So potentially they are a buyer that you have connected with, someone that you want to try and sell to. Okay. With my business, most of the connections I make are people that I want to buy from because we are looking for and sourcing surplus deals from people in businesses. So we are, looking for clearance, excess stocks, surplus. And so, I'm reaching out to people on LinkedIn, connecting with them, and sending them a short note in LinkedIn Messenger explaining my service, what my company does, and how I can help. And that is by, offering to buy their surplus and excess goods that they've got in their business that they want to get rid of. I'm also making connections to potential buyers as well, people that want to buy these deals that I'm finding. All right, so I'm making connections with buyers and sellers. Okay, but here's the thing. It's all right connecting with people every week on LinkedIn, but how the hell do you keep in contact with them all? I mean, it's time consuming to, every week, every month message this one and that one, but you can't do it with a few thousand connections on LinkedIn. So the method that I use um, is I get in contact with my LinkedIn connections away from the LinkedIn platform most of the time. So I'm going to basically be reaching out to my LinkedIn connections outside of the LinkedIn platform by email or WhatsApp or various other forms of online communication. And, the ones that obviously respond to me, and I'm going to start getting into conversations and warm up that contact and start almost building a relationship with that contact and say, look, I'm here. I'm ready to do some business. Um, you know, do you have anything available at the moment? Any deals you want to offer me? Or they might say to me, what have you got? They might ask me what deals I've got, and I'll say to them, what you're looking for? What deals are you specifically looking for? What products? What product category, what industry, etc. It's all about getting into conversations, but you can't do that like en masse when you're building a lot of connections on LinkedIn. The big mistake that a lot of people make, like I say, is that they're building connections all the time on LinkedIn, but they're not staying in contact. Think about it. If you are making a lot of contacts through the year, even if it was like 10 a week, 10 new connections every week, that's 40 a month times 12 months, 480 new connections you made through a year. 480 connections. How many of them are you keeping in contact with? Like, be honest with yourself. Are you keeping in contact with all of those connections that you made? Probably 99% of people on LinkedIn are not keeping in contact with all their connections. So this is what I do. I use a virtual assistant to do this for me, but I basically build lists of email addresses from all my connections on LinkedIn. Now, when you go onto someone's LinkedIn profile, you can click on contact details, and you can grab their email address. Now, some of the time it might be their business email address. Some of the time it might be just a generic email address that they originally registered with LinkedIn. So the reason why a lot of people use just a generic email address on LinkedIn on their contact details is because maybe they change jobs and they don't want to keep changing their business, their company email address all the time. So they just stay with their original email address that they registered with on LinkedIn, like a Gmail address, Hotmail, those types of generic email addresses, not like a proper company domain email address. That's fine. Like, I reach out to people on their private email addresses and on email, and I just say, look, we're connected on LinkedIn. I thought I would reach out to you on email, see how you're doing. Have you had a good year? Just a friendly email, and just start getting into a conversation with some of my connections that I wouldn't have time normally to message each one in LinkedIn Messenger because it's just time consuming. So I can basically email hundreds of my LinkedIn connections at once, basically, and send them a personalized email address to their name. Okay, using my email software, and it's very personalized. And it's not a cold email because we are connected on LinkedIn. We're connected with each other. They either reached out to me to connect with me, or I reached out with them to connect with them originally on LinkedIn. So at the end of the day, anyone who you are connected with on LinkedIn, what's the harm in sending them an email away from LinkedIn several times a year? 3, 4, 5 times a year, just to reach out to them, have a catch up with that person, see what they're up to. Are they in the market for doing some business? And you'd be very surprised. And a lot of my connections give me referrals as well. They say, look, I haven't got any surplus at the moment, but actually, I've got a client I know of that's got some surplus stock. I've got a one of my customers. I know they've got some surplus stock. Do you want me to connect you with that person? So yeah, great, thank you. That would be really good of you. So what I'm doing is, in effect, I'm mass mailing all of my LinkedIn connections through the year. When you're talking, when you've got like over 10,000 connections on LinkedIn, think about it. If you are staying in contact with them all through the year, how much more business you can do. And I make a lot of money on the back of LinkedIn just by keeping in contact with all of my LinkedIn connections. So, the title of this video is how to make money from your LinkedIn connections every month. And that is by literally keeping in contact with your LinkedIn connections. Don't just build. It's not like a, trophy. It's not like a trophy. Build like, it's not a race to see who can get the most LinkedIn connections. It's about, I mean, for me, it's about the quality of connections anyway. It's not about the quantity of connections. Some people just connect, and accept connection requests from anyone, but it's all about keeping in contact with your LinkedIn connections. And if you can keep in contact with them all away from LinkedIn on email, or, get into a conversation with them on WhatsApp, for example. I will do that in LinkedIn Messenger. I will give them my mobile number, or I'll get their mobile number. We'll add each other on WhatsApp. We'll get into a conversation on WhatsApp. Now I can do things at speed on my phone, and just get into quick conversations with people. A few seconds here, a few seconds there through the day. It's really fast forms of communication. And so is email. Instead of me messaging one person, one of my connections on LinkedIn, I can email 1,000 of my LinkedIn connections in a day, like with the touch of a button. All right. So that's how simple it is. And so I'm basically creating opportunities for myself. I'm planting seeds because I've just reminded them, Matt, he's in the surplus business. Yeah. I've just got an email from him. Let's see. I'll find out if the company, my company's got some surplus stock I want to get rid of, or actually, they might be looking for certain products or some stock of something. We'll ask Matt if he can go and find that kind of deal, that kind of product. So it's just building relationships with all these LinkedIn connections. Don't let them go to waste. Don't let your thousands and thousands of LinkedIn connections, if you've got thousands, you've at least got several hundred. So how many of those several hundred are you in contact with through the year? Like, if you're not in contact with them, it's a waste of time being on LinkedIn. If you're not in contact with them, it's a waste of time building connections. Okay? There's a reason why you connect with a person on LinkedIn, because that person is in a specific job position, in a specific company, in a specific industry, and you want to either buy from them, all right, or you want to sell to them. That's it. Like, LinkedIn is only for two things. You either want to sell something to someone, or you want to buy something from someone. That's it. So make use of their contact details when you've connected with that person. Grab their email address, put it into your email software, and build your lists. Okay. Build your lists, and keep in contact with your LinkedIn connections. If you don't, you're literally losing money. Okay, you're losing money, because think about all that money that you could potentially make by actually keeping in contact with all your LinkedIn connections. If you want help doing this kind of thing, and you want to actually learn the business that I'm in of buying and flipping pallets of goods, being the guy in the middle, brokering deals between buyers and sellers without touching any stock or physically handling any goods or even using any of your own money. If you like that kind of concept, if you like that kind of opportunity, that you can easily do on the side of your day job, I am opening a few spots for this month to come into my program community where you can learn this business of, sorting and flipping pallets of surplus, unwanted, unused goods that businesses have in their warehouse. Just like this warehouse behind me, companies everywhere in the world are sitting on lots and lots of surplus goods, okay, that you can make money on. And you want to learn exactly how it's done from a guy that's been in the game for over 30 years. I'm taking people from zero to thousands in the bank. Plenty of guys in my program in day jobs doing it on the side and making like an extra few grand upwards per month, guys. All right. So if you like that idea, just comment below and I will have a chat with you in Messenger. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got some value from it. And whatever industry you're in, like I say, make use of your connections. Don't ignore all the connections that you have. There's ways and means of keeping in contact with all of your network that you have on LinkedIn, guys. All right, I will see you again very soon. I'll be back for another one. If you like it, give me a thumbs up or comment below. Take care.